Hello everyone, welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're not. Today we're going to be talking about measurements.
Getting your actor's measurements is such an important first step because it ensures that all the costumes that you create are going to fit them properly. Today I have two models, one male and one female, to demonstrate some of the measurements that are key when designing costumes. Some specialty costumes might require more detailed measurements, but these are just the basic ones that are good to have for all of your actors.
For all measurements, you'll need a measuring tape. This one is 60 inches long or 5 feet. Personally, I like using this tape measure because it also has centimeters on the back. Using either inches or centimeters is fine, just make sure you're consistent with all of your actors so that there are no miscommunications about which unit you're measuring in. Now let's meet our models. First up, we have Isaiah. And then we have Caitlin. Big shout out to my volunteers for letting me measure them. Before we start taking our measurements, I wanted to show you a little trick I like to use when I'm measuring smaller areas of the body like the head and neck. Roll up your tape measure on the side with the higher numbers and hold it in your hand. This makes it a little easier and more manageable when you're just getting small measurements. When I measure actors, I like to start at the top and work my way down. For our first measurement, you're going to measure the circumference of the head right above the ears, normally where a hat would sit. Next up is the neck measurement. Have your actor look up so you can get the tape measure situated, and then make sure they relax their neck so that your measurement is accurate. Moving on, now we have our shoulder to shoulder measurement. This is measured across the actor's back from shoulder bone to shoulder bone. Make sure your actor is relaxed and not flexing or tensing up. Shout out to my mom for helping me with this next measurement. You're going to start at the base of the neck and measure down to the natural waist. You can have your actor bend side to side to find that natural waist. This measurement is called nape to waist, and now you'll see me finding the nape to the floor measurement. The placement of your measuring tape is especially important when measuring females' bust, waist, and hips. This placement, for example, would not be an accurate measurement because it's not measuring the fullest part of her bust. You'll want to ensure that your measuring tape goes around the fullest part of the bust, which may be different for each actor. You also have to make sure that your measuring tape is flat against the skin and not sagging on the side like you see here. Next, to get your actor's waist measurements, I usually have them bend side to side so I can see where their waist naturally bends. Again, make sure your tape measure is flat against the skin and not squeezing too tight so that you get an accurate measurement. Now let's move on to the hip measurement. While this placement does go across her hip bones, it is not an accurate measurement because it doesn't account for the fullest part of her hips. You'll want to make sure the tape measure goes around the thickest part, which includes the actor's butt. Also, make sure you're constantly communicating with your actor to make sure they feel comfortable when you're getting these measurements that could be in more sensitive areas. Here, I'm taking the same 3 measurements on a male body. Obviously, the numbers are going to be a little bit different because of anatomy. After I get these 3 core measurements on my actor, I usually go back up and get arm measurements. This measurement is called the armscye, and it's important when determining the size of the armhole in shirts. Next up is the bicep measurement. It's important to have your actor flex so that we can ensure that the costume won't be too tight on the sleeves. Next is a wrist measurement. Finally, we'll take a sleeve measurement. This starts at the top of the shoulder bone and goes to the wrist, but it's very important to have your actor bend their arm at a 90-degree angle. That way, when you create the sleeves, they'll have room to bend their arm. Here, I started with the thigh measurement. Make sure your actor is standing flat and has their weight evenly distributed on both feet. Next, I took both an above the knee and a below the knee measurement. This makes sure I have all the measurements I need, whether I'm making shorts, capris, or long pants for my actor. Then I took a calf measurement and an ankle measurement. Our next measurement is the outseam. For this measurement, I like to get 2 numbers, one from the hip bone to the ankle and one from the hip bone to the floor. This makes sure we have the correct measurement if we're going to be making a floor-length dress for a female body. Next up, we have the inseam. For this measurement, I have the actor hold the beginning of the tape measure right at the top of their leg, and I measure down to the ankle bone. By having the actor hold the top of the tape measure, it makes sure that they feel comfortable and that there are no awkward situations.
As you're taking all your measurements, it's important to record them in a system that you understand.
This is a good example of a costume chart for an actor, which provides space for the measurement and also space for any notes that the costumer might have.
It's also a good idea to try and have the same person measure all the actors, that way the measurements are more consistent. Again, you might need some different measurements if you're making specialty costumes, but for the most part, these are all the basics that you'll need. Thanks for watching and happy measuring!